The overproduction and overconsumption of textile products, resulting in tons of waste and unnecessarily ending in landfill every year, has led to a call for systems and behavioural change towards a circular economy. Correct material flows through a circular system are difficult to achieve, but new technologies, coupled with innovative business models, may provide some answers. This presentation investigates the challenges of digital transformation towards tracking and tracing and blockchain technology adoption for the circular fashion supply chain. It identifies the challenges specific to the small and medium enterprise and finds a number of areas that require focus, some outside and some within the control of the business owner, if technology adoption is to be successful.
Traditional business models for production in the fashion industry involving taking resources, making products and discarding them are being replaced by circular economy models. The circular economy is seeking to use fewer virgin materials and strives to keep goods in circulation for longer. At the end of life, the circular economy aims to decommission items in a way that will benefit business, society and the environment by deconstructing and reclaiming components, managing them in a way that regenerates rather than contaminates ecosystems. The circular economy can work via a number of models, including closed and open loops. Closed loops keep materials within the textile industry, whereas open loops move materials beyond the textile industry. The way to improve the correct flow of materials through the circular economy is to track and trace fibres. To be clear, the terms transparency, tracking and tracing are often used interchangeably, but each has a distinct meaning which in the context of blockchain matters. Tracing in supply chains involves working backwards to find out how a product was created. This can be extremely difficult if data around materials and labour wasn't collected during processing. Tracking involves following individual components of a product from the beginning and making note of the journey through the whole supply chain. For example, following the cotton fibres that become a t-shirt. Tracking and tracing both lead to transparency.
Blockchain is a technology which assists in accurate tracking and affords fast tracing in order to build transparency. Although blockchain and related technologies could facilitate better tracking and tracing, the adoption of these technologies are not without their challenges. Tracking of fibres and tracing of finished products is difficult to achieve due to the complex and fractured nature of communications and data collection along the textile supply chain, not to mention the industry's grip on trade secrets. But first, what is blockchain, and how can it improve tracking, tracing, and ultimately the circular economy? Blockchain is a software system that ensures a permanent record of transactions. The data can be decentralized, that is, shared on multiple servers or nodes that are run by autonomous entities. Blockchain is not a database or a cloud storage, although it can incorporate information from these. It is considered a secure form of data capture because once a transaction is entered onto the blockchain, it can never be altered. Blockchain has been surrounded by a lot of hype. Hype literature overly glorifies the potential of the technology and often suggests that it is further developed and in greater use than is perhaps the reality. Critical literature sees blockchain technologies through a more balanced lens of barriers and benefits, providing greater insight into the current uptake of the technology. In order to form a picture of the current adoption of blockchain for the circular textile economy, we reviewed the critical literature and conducted interviews with both technology and fashion industry representatives, involving early-stage prototypes and pilots. Furthermore, through conducting our own prototype project with a local circular fashion brand, we discovered that blockchain is not yet ready for adoption by the majority of the fashion industry, particularly not small to medium enterprises. Our main finding was that while the blockchain backend operational software is becoming established, user-friendly interfaces and open-source platforms are rare. Additionally, the majority of the blockchains being created in fashion are either prototypes owned by technology companies or expensive custom builds, commissioned by large-scale fashion companies who wish to be seen as early adopters and part of the hype associated with blockchain. But with consultation costs beginning at around $25,000 and development ranging from $100,000 into the millions, despite their appetite to adopt the technology, small to medium enterprises have little to no access to blockchain at the moment. However, as consumers and even some governments demand greater product stewardship, blockchain may be adopted by the majority in the future. This suggests that small to medium enterprises need to build their digital literacy now in preparation for future transformations. The speed at which this adoption takes place will depend on the reduction of development costs, which will come about with off-the-shelf solutions, increased competitor advantage, and the development of user interfaces that are as familiar and easy to use as e-commerce, product lifecycle management platforms, or banking applications. In order to best determine how an item can be reused, recycled, or effectively stewarded through the circular economy, it is important to understand a textile's composition and the processes it underwent throughout production. By assigning unique identifiers to the smallest of components, such as fibres, known as a resource, we can capture any process that they are part of, for instance spinning, known as an event, and who was responsible for carrying out the process, known as an agent. In blockchain, this model is called Resource Event Agent Accounting, or REA for short. Once the garment has reached the end of its useful recycled life, it can be moved on to resource recovery through fibre separation mechanisms. Correct fibre separation can only occur if the garment's fibre composition is accurately identified. This is where nanotracing can be particularly helpful. One project currently exemplifying this process is by the tech company Fibertrace, who have been working with Australian cotton producers Good Earth Cotton, spinners and mills in Turkey, Australian fashion brand Nobody Denim, and more recently with US fashion brand Reformation. Fibertrace developed a non-toxic, luminescent pigment which can be attached to raw cotton fibres and is indestructible throughout the entire manufacturing process. The pigment contains information that forms part of a unique identifier, which can be linked to individual brands. They also developed hardware that allows for the fibres to be scanned at every stage of the process, allowing for the documentation of information about the processes or finishes that have been applied to the fibre. This information is then logged on the blockchain and becomes a permanent account documenting the whole process, which can't be edited or tampered with. This means the garments can be correctly recycled and/or recovered at the end of life.
Closing the loop in the textile and fashion circular economy has been a key focus of textile recovery company Blocktex. Blocktex developed proprietary technology for the separation of polyester cellulosic blended fibres. Whilst this achievement in itself is noteworthy, Blocktex recognised that when they were recycling textiles, they weren't just directing waste away from landfill, but were creating a valuable resource that could be traded and sold just like any other fibre in the textile industry. In addition to recording events regarding fibres on blockchain, Blocktex also created their own cryptocurrency, which will allow for the sale and trade of their fibres or regenerated materials at an agreed-upon price. Indeed, creating cryptocurrency is another somewhat confusing aspect of blockchain for the supply chain. In order to have transactions verified by the various servers in the decentralised system, each addition to the blockchain effectively requires payment in cryptocurrency. It stands to reason that a firm creates its own crypto to facilitate the transaction and potentially benefits from this trade.
Not all examples of blockchain for the fashion industry use this level of custom trackers and hardwares to document and verify the process. Furthermore, tracking devices including RFIDs, QR codes, microchips, and so on should not be confused with blockchain. These technologies simply provide quick access to data that can be either added to local databases or eventually to a blockchain. However, Using readily available tracking technologies such as these is a means by which even small-scale brands can already implement the technologies that in the future may be augmented by blockchain. This research revealed several challenges in the adoption of blockchain technology. Our review of both the hype and the critical literature provided a picture of some current use cases and the investment required for technology adoption. Importantly, the interview data revealed a number of areas that require focus by small to medium enterprises. These are technical, social, and entrepreneurial opportunities. Technical challenges and opportunities include the need to build digital literacy, seeking interoperability between legacy systems and emerging technologies, and developing common data ontology amongst fashion supply chain stakeholders. Social opportunities include the development of global governance of emerging technologies, as well as developing communication and co-creation relationships between software providers and small to medium fashion enterprises. Entrepreneurial opportunities include developing competitor cooperation, as well as recognizing tangible or perceived value as a return on investment for the circular economy. The path to digital transformation and the adoption of blockchain or similar data sharing solutions by small to medium enterprises can already begin by using tracking and tracing mechanisms. It also means relinquishing trade secrecy and cooperating with competitors to increase data flows if we are to see the development of universally accessible blockchain-enabled data sharing platforms. In this way, the preparation for the adoption of blockchain technology may significantly improve sustainable fashion practice among the more agile, small-scale ventures along the supply chain, thereby moving rapidly towards a more effective circular economy.